I have a plan to make $1 million over the next 2 years or by the end of 2024. As I'm sure everybody knows, the last 2 years have been absolutely crazy in the world and extremely uncertain for a lot of people. With mass job cuts and extremely volatile markets, most would say it's a horrible time to be doing any sort of financial project. This plan that I'm going to reveal to you today doubles down on some of the most fundamental human behaviors and shows how the mass movement of having to stay at and work from home is actually one of the biggest opportunities that you can take advantage of as well. For those of you who don't know, my name's Lachie White, and I've made thousands of dollars across the internet over the last couple of years, but the next 2 years are definitely going to be some of the biggest of my life. So there's 4 steps to my plan across the whole thing, but I'm not sharing this as something that I think that you should just go out and do. This is my plan because I believe that it suits my skill sets and my interests really well, and it's the best way that I should proceed moving forward. I'm sharing it so that maybe it'll spark some interest in you or a really cool idea, and you'll be able to go out and create your own plan and be able to path your own way forward as well. Step number 1 is actually entering into mega niches that are already formed within of Amazon Australia. Now, if you've seen any of my content before, you know that I do a lot of stuff with e-commerce and talking about Amazon, but everything I've done in the past has actually been on the e-commerce giant Amazon US. And as a lot of my fellow Australians would know, Amazon has only launched into Australia as of recent, and in its first year, it absolutely flopped. Australians didn't take to it at all like other big American brands that come across, but they still stuck around and they set in their fundamentals and got their groundwork. And they've been expanding at an extreme rate lately, and they're set to do their $2 billion a year in revenue. I think they might have actually hit it already this year, but they're expanding extremely quickly. Now, what does this mean for people like us? Because it's still a very small market in comparison to the US, it means that we have these giant competitive niches that would normally be impossible for anyone to get into as a new seller are up for grabs with nearly no competition. So you can get in, grab this free real estate, and create yourself an empire to grow with Amazon Australia. As an example for this, you can see in the US, gaming chairs is a really big niche. And you can see all these sellers here that have already got thousands of reviews and they're making lots and lots of money each month. And for someone like myself, who would be a new seller coming into here, it would be nearly impossible to get the groundwork and to break into that market without having heaps of capital to start off with. Whereas if we jump over to the Australian market, we can see this exact same niche has got nearly no competitors in there with much lower ratings and nearly no differentiation in the product. So then we can look over here at what's working on Amazon US and these products that are already done in the branding, and then model it across here to Amazon Australia and get that position where there's nearly no big competition, and even though the big dollars aren't there yet, we start getting the reviews and we gain that top spot. Then as Amazon Australia starts to rise, as it's been predicted, and it will, wherever Amazon goes, it explodes no matter what. And as that grows, there you are in the top spot and the sales start coming in. And then in the next 2 to 3 years, you have the top spot in this giant niche, which is doing hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. And suddenly you're one of these big dogs that people are trying to knock off and can't get into. Step 2 kind of ties together with step 1 in that once you've entered one of these mega niches and you've started building your place and fortifying that real estate, is really doubling down and reinvesting everything into the business so that you can scale as big and as quickly as possible. Now, of course, when reinvesting into your business, I always think it's a really good idea to have clear goals in mind. So for someone like myself, and we're wanting to increase our sales, we'd want to be returning that money into our marketing and other forms of sales so that we can increase our overall revenue, and that allows the business and the brand to get out there as quickly and as largely as possible. When you stumble across an opportunity like this one where you can get into the mega niches and maybe after a year you start seeing a big return on your money, maybe hitting 10,000, 30,000, 50,000 a month in revenue, and it's really tempting to just take some of that profit and put it in your pocket and keep it for yourself. If you actually reinvest that money back into the business and allow it to continue to grow at that exponential rate, when you go to exit from the business, that multiplier that you can sell for is going to be ginormous. Step number 3, which sort of ties the whole process together, is exiting or selling your business. And for those who don't know, selling a business, especially an e-commerce business, is one of the quickest ways to come across a large sum of money in one go. And for e-commerce businesses, the multiplier when you go to sell them generally is a 2 to 3 times multiplier of the yearly profit plus the amount of stock that you have on hand. Now, if you build a really strong brand or you have several sales channels like a Shopify or into Walmart or other stores, that multiplier is going to increase. But for this example, we're going to use a 2 to 3 multiplier. Now, we're just going to do some quick maths, but if you're able to get a single product or even a whole brand with several products to $100,000 a month in revenue, right? And I always aim for 30% profit margin. So that means you're making $30,000 a month profit. Okay? And just keep in mind that some of those examples we looked at, like the gaming chair, just one of those products is doing well over $100,000 a month. So even if then you have a chair and it's not quite doing that, you can easily then spread into a couple of different chairs or even a couple of different products like headphones or anything in that same niche, and you'll hit that $100,000 a month super easily as that Amazon Australia expands. But if you aim for that 30% profit margin, so that's $30,000 per month profit, so you then times that by 12 months in a year, which is $360,000 profit that business would be making per year. So then you times that by your 3 times multiplier, which I believe is then just over the million. That's $1,080,000, I think. And then by exiting and selling the business, you then get paid out that lump sum, which in this case is over that $1 million. And just remember, that is the minimum case scenario. That's if you only have a product that's making that $100,000 a month. And that's if you only get the 2 to 3 times multiplier as well. And if you then flash back to what we said earlier about taking that little bit each month out of your profit, as opposed to now you can see that if you're putting it back into the business and you're growing that monthly profit each time that you reinvest, when it comes to time to that exit and you're getting that multiplier, you can see just how much more you're going to get paid out at the end as opposed to taking that little reward each month. Step 4, which is completely different to the other 3, but this is just for me along that way, so hitting that $1 million, is really doubling down and investing in the cryptocurrencies. Now, I know there's a lot of controversy over this sort of thing. That's why, again, I said it's just for me. This is what I believe in. But I definitely see the cryptocurrency as a way for me having it instead of a bank account. For me, there's no reason to have money in a bank account when it's just sitting there and losing value when it could be out and making money on something for me. Now, I truly believe that cryptocurrency is the way of the future. With everything with COVID, there's been huge market crashes and it's never been, well, it has been, but it's at an incredibly cheap time to buy. So for me, I'm going to be putting as much capital that I don't need for my Amazon business into some of the big, like you can't call them blue chip, but like blue chip stocks for the cryptocurrencies like your Bitcoin and your Ethereum, which have been going up at an incredibly steady rate over the last couple of years. And with all the new blockchain technology coming out, they're just going to skyrocket. So I'll be investing a lot of my money into that area as well, just to sort of diversify a bit, so that once that Amazon business is growing with the growth of Amazon Australia and we're really expanding, that cryptocurrency will be coming along as well and be able to reinvest it back into the Amazon business, so they sort of just work off each other there as well. So there you have it, guys. That's my 4-step plan to be hitting $1 million over the next 2 years or by the end of 2024. I hope that it sort of sparks some interest in you and that you can sort of see from the breakdown that $1 million isn't as big and a scary number as you might think. I think for a lot of us, it's sort of, when we're raised, it's bred into us to think of $1 million as sort of, it'll be life-changing and everything would be so different, and that's the big rich and that's only what the big evil people have. Or when you really break it down and you see the numbers and you think about what you can do with a good idea, you suddenly realize that it's a lot more achievable for anybody. And as long as you put in that hard work and that time, it's something that you can definitely achieve as well. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you've gotten some value from the video, and I'm really excited to see you in the next one. Have an absolutely lovely night, and I'll see you all later.